Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Scoliosis Dialogues. My name is Samy, and I will be tag teaming this episode with Dr. Samy. And I am here today with the Hibbs Award Winners, the Goldstein Award Winner, and the Moe Award Winner. So, Dr. Samy, if you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself and begin. Thank you.
Congratulations to all of you. I am Samy, Chief of Spine and Neurosurgery Department at Alexandria University Hospital in Egypt. I'm the podcast moderator. All of you did a great work, and congratulations for the award winning.
Thank you all for coming. If we could just go around, I'll have each of you introduce yourselves, tell me a little bit about yourself and what your award was for.
And I'll go first. I'm Mike Kelly. I am currently at UCSD Rady Children's Hospital. We won the Hibbs Translational Basic Science Award for our work in epigenomic aging clocks and prediction of complications in adult spinal deformity. It's a work that we have been going on for quite some time between Washington University and the International Spine Study Group. And this is hopefully just the beginning of the ball rolling.
I'm Justin Smith. I'm a neurosurgeon at University of Virginia in Charlottesville. We won the Hibbs Best Clinical Research Award for long-term outcomes of operative versus non-operative treatment for adult symptomatic lumbar scoliosis. It's an 8-year outcomes study that has been in the works for many years and has taken a lot of labor of many individuals that should be recognized for this work. But it really shows the benefits of operative treatment long-term and the durability of a surgical treatment for ASLS.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Alejandro Peiro-Garcia from Barcelona. I'm the head of the pediatric spine unit at Hospital Sant Joan de Déu, is a pediatric hospital here in Spain. And I was awarded with the John Moe Award because we did a clinical trial comparing two different braces for idiopathic scoliosis, comparing the full-time brace and the nighttime brace. And our results show that both braces were equally efficient to manage the scoliosis, but the quality of life and the pain was better with the nighttime brace. So that was our award.
Hi, my name is Meric Enercan from Istanbul, Turkey. I work at Florence Nightingale Hospital, Spine and Scoliosis Center, Istanbul. So we had the Goldstein Award, Best Clinical Research Poster Award we received for the clinical and radiological outcomes for the posterior hemivertebral resection and short segment fusion in children under age of 5. And we followed these kids until they reach their skeletal maturity, and we review our results, and we got the Best Poster Award for that.
I just have a couple of questions for each of the winning abstract. First, for Justin, for his paper, I see that your study, you have been published after 5 years. The paper have been published after 5 years, and later on at 8 years follow-up. Can you explain for me why there is no? Is it a good situation, but the difference didn't decrease even after 8 years, although the patient is going more aging? You got my question. The patient is aging, but there is no complications. The SRS2 and ODI are the same all over on your graph.
Do you mean so the patients are just aging? So you're wondering why aren't their outcomes measures decreasing over time?
Yes.
Well, it's over. I mean, if you go between 5 and 8 years, it's a 3-year difference. I don't know that necessarily expecting a normative population for their normative population's ODI deployment or their SRS 22 scores or their back pain or their leg pain scores to naturally decline over time, especially over a 3-year period. So I don't think you're seeing the age effects there. Certainly, if you followed them over like 30 years, then you might want to adjust for normative effects of the age process. But I think over 3 years or 5 years or 8 years, you're not seeing that as much play into it.
So it is short-term follow-up, you mean? So you will not find a significant difference because
It's long-term follow-up following surgery and treatment. It's short-term if you look at a lifespan.
Okay. Thank you. My congratulations for your paper about the epigenetic biomarker. Will be applicable to do for all adult spine deformity, or will be expensive? And for sure, the biological age is much better for detection of the morbidity and mortality and avoiding surgery, even if it's high risk. But are the markers and the investigation will be done for all adult spine deformity surgery patient and will be applicable and with a reasonable price, or will be an expensive technique that will not be easy to do epigenetic?
The epigenetic marker that we used comes from standard laboratories. It's derived from DNA methylation analyses, which are currently pretty expensive, though you can get a single patient done in Europe for 250 to 500 euros, which in the grand scheme of things is a drop in the bucket. But what we have done is use Morgan Levine's biomarker, which is calculated from standard laboratories, which anyone can get now. And in most EMRs, it's kind of the thing like BMI. It should just be automatically calculated and available to everyone. You'd need to add on some labs, and whether or not that's simple or difficult in each person's sort of healthcare system that's going to be site dependent, but it's currently not expensive. And the longer we wait for the fancy basic science stuff, as I can tell you, someone who's been hammering away at this for almost a decade now, the longer we wait, the cheaper it gets. The things that were extremely fancy and cost many thousands per patient, 5 to 8 years ago, are now measured on the hundreds of dollars, and we have moved beyond that. I think ultimately epigenetic age may be a nice, easy thing for worldwide use because it's not going to be expensive. But as I mentioned in the talk, the real problem for precision medicine comes from that we are using the epigenome of the DNA, right? And that needs transcription, translation, and expression ultimately to a phenotype. And there's so much variance and stochasticity between DNA to phenotype that really accurate markers are going to be closer to the phenotype end of that timeline rather than at the beginning. And stop at the beginning is going to be subject to so much variability and randomness that I think it will limit the accuracy of any prediction model, and that we got to be closer to the other end. And ultimately, that's what I presented at SRS St. Louis, is this idea of the immunophenotype, which it makes me very happy to see that, we looked at DNA methylation patterns for people that had complications and did not through Washington University at one of the main session abstracts, and found that epigenetic modification was happening around genes related to the immune system. And I think my suspicion, and I hope, because I want to be right, but that's not that important, is that it's really going to be about determining immunophenotypes and modulating immune response to sterile trauma to maximize outcomes and minimize complications.
Okay, great. Hopefully, in the future, you will make a guidelines that help much more in criteriaing the patient to be high risk or low risk. Hopefully, in the future. Thank you very much, Dr. Meric, for the hemivertebral resection. Are in all your patients you do 3 levels fixation, or sometimes it is sufficient to do just single level fixation after the hemivertebrae? And if you did a hemivertebral resection with single level fixation, what are your tips and tricks to avoid sagittal or coronal imbalance?
Yeah,
because it will be very flexible and difficult to horizontalize.
Yes, Summer. So we try to do as short as possible. So if the prominent deformity is the scoliotic deformity, usually 1 level above and below fixation will be enough. But it's really important if the kyphotic component is more prominent, so we prefer to go 2 level above and below, just to maintain the sagittal alignment, correct sagittal alignment. So
Yes.
the key in our technique, so this is a single surgeon's experience. So all the patients received a uniform, I mean the standard similar treatment. So the key is we try to do a complete discectomy,
Sure.
including the hemivertebra, and sometimes to achieve the fusion, we place a small cage, especially to provide to act as a fulcrum during our correction maneuver, mainly for the kyphotic ones. And we realized that if you do it as early as possible, so you can manage the compensator curves and you can, avoid them becoming becoming more structural, so that short fusion will be enough for these kids. So this will allow them growth and do the spinal fusion as short as possible. And we really, during the long-term follow-up, we saw that both the corrections in both planes are maintained with this technique.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Alessandro, for your study, have you unified the type of brace that you use, for example, chino brace or Boston or certain type, or have you used different type of braces? And have you added any physiotherapy in addition to or not?
Okay, so what we use for the full-time brace were the chino brace, and what we use for the nighttime brace, it was the Providence brace. For both braces, we put in an internal sensor, thermal sensor, just to measure the hours of the braces, and all the braces were done by the same orthotics department, so by the same team. So we know it's a team that we know that they do the right braces, even Genoa and Providence. So we know that the quality of the braces was a good quality brace.
And the difference between the two types of braces didn't affect your results?
No.
Because one time
So what we found,
you mentioned that the nighttime brace was a different type, I see.
nighttime brace and full-time brace, they had the same results at
Okay.
the end of the 2 years. So the difference between the progression of the curve with both braces was similar. So they were equally effective in managing the scoliosis, in avoiding the progression. And also the rate of patients going for surgery in both braces, in both groups, was similar. So there were no significant differences in both groups.
Was it a prospective study and the patient
was.
selected to have a nighttime and whole-time or your criterion?
Yeah, it was a prospective study. It was a
And the
random
compliance of the
clinical
patient.
trial. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. If you could just give a short conclusion of your study and then also what this means for your research going forward.
In our work looking at epigenetic age versus chronological age, we found that for some situations, epigenetic age was better to discriminate between those that were going to have a complication and those that were not. And I think even if you go back, hopefully the paper will be in press soon, or if you go and can view online and see the graphs that we showed important things. One, that age is nonlinear, and that even a lot of these linear regressions that we present at the meetings are probably not accurate. And we found gross discrepancies between epigenetic age predicted probabilities and chronological age predicted probabilities. And I think that the takeaway for that is incredibly important, not just for this line of work, but for our research in general, as we need to move towards probability-based research rather than things that spit out odds ratios and averages and leads us to say that you're at a 300% increased risk for such and such, when in fact that's not even accurate for anybody. Moving forward for us, we need to, this is one where we need to get a grant. It was really nice at the meeting that we got a lot of positive feedback in the hallways from people that either want to collaborate or people that want to help us get National Institutes of Health funding, because this will apply to everyone. This is not just for adult spinal deformity. This applies to healthy kids. This applies to sick children. This applies to spinal trauma, spinal tumors, and we need to start making a dent in exploring things that are new to us. We're actually reasonably well explored in other fields. It's our turn to sort of move the ball forward here.
For the Hibbs Clinical Award, looking at the operative versus non-operative treatment for ASLS, our conclusion is that surgical treatment for adult symptomatic lumbar scoliosis can provide significant benefit for patients for pain, disability, and function, and that this benefit remains durable out to our endpoint of 8 years follow-up, which has significant implications for patient counseling, significant implications for assessments of cost benefit of the surgical procedures because they are expensive. I think moving forward, we noted that there were high rates of revision surgery, which is already noted with adult deformity surgery. And I think it behooves us to continue to study how we can reduce these rates of revision surgery. Many of them were due to mechanical complications, such as rod fractures or proximal junctional failure. And even since the time we started enrolling patients now 10 years ago, there have already been some benefits or techniques to reduce these rates of complications, but further work is needed to try to understand why these complications are occurring and what we can do to reduce their rates, whether it's use of supplemental rods to reduce rates of rod fracture, maybe proximal junctional tethers to reduce junctional failure, maybe a better understanding of spinal alignment to reduce risks of mechanical complications as well. But there's still a lot to be done. But I think that this is a landmark study to help demonstrate that what we are doing makes a difference for adult deformity patients.
So for the Young Moe Award, our clinical trial conclusions were that both braces, nighttime brace and full-time brace, were equally effective in avoiding surgery and avoiding the progression of the deformity. But at the same time, nighttime brace showed that it affected less the self-image and the satisfaction of the patients and the pain of the patients. And they were also more compliant with treatment compared to full-time brace. So it is a start because we have 2 years follow-up, as I said, and we still have a lot of data to analyze, like, for example, how weather is affecting the use of braces, how, depending on the season, if the patients use more or less the brace in summer or in winter, or how, depending on the area of Spain where they come from, they use it, or also how cultural things that could affect the use of the brace. So this is still going on. So we still have a lot of data to analyze. And hopefully in the future, as I say before, we can involve more centers, more countries in this trial, because probably there are cultural things or weather-related things that may also affect the use of these two different braces. But at least this is a start.
For our study, we can conclude that posterior hemivertebral resection should be performed as early as possible before the compensatory curves became structural, so that this will both maintain a very short fusion. So we have really good stable corrections during the follow-up period, but the key point is the long-term follow-up for these kids. Long-term follow-up is essential as some spinal alignment changes can occur, and we should detect these. If any change occurs, we should detect these changes as early as possible, so we can intervene these changes with mostly conservative measures. And performing hemivertebral resection under age of 5 really provides stable correction for both coronal and sagittal planes, as well as after an average of 15 years follow-up, it provides also really satisfactory clinical results for our study.
Okay, I think after this question, I repeat my congratulations for the awards, and you deserve it, and everyone, even in who was nominated, thank you for your effort, because the research is one of the aims of the society, and you did a great job. And congratulations again for all of you. hopefully that your papers will be influential in the future to make further studies and research to get data that helps in our medical service. And it was nice to meet you all, and good luck in the future.
Thank you for coming, everyone. I appreciate it. And
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you. Good to see everybody.
Good.
Have a great day.
Have a good day. Bye.